Hi, this is Roger Green, host of the Surfing the NASH Tsunami podcast. This weekend, we are offering 4 conversations from Season 3, Episode 11. Our first look at the new NAIL-NIT consortium that has come into being to study direct links between NITs and outcomes and what these links can tell us about trial design and therapeutic success. This conversation starts by focusing on the challenges of using an NAS resolution score at the heart of drug development analysis, due in large part to challenges around the balloon hepatocyte measure. Over the course of the discussion, Mazen Noureddin goes on to thank some of the diverse group of people that have moved NAIL-NIT forward so quickly, and, in the end, he weighs in on why he believes it will take a combination of NITs to provide the full range of information we need for patient diagnosis, treatment, and monitoring. NAIL-NIT has the potential to deliver relatively timely results, perhaps even starting in a year or two, on issues that will improve every element of how we develop and approve medications and tests for NAFLD and NASH. This is a big thing. So sit back, listen, enjoy, learn, and when you're done, join the dialogue on our LinkedIn and Facebook discussion groups.
Stephen Harrison.
Yeah, that's actually incredibly important, because one of the surrogate endpoints is NASH resolution with no worsening of fibrosis. And linking that to an outcome is, we just don't have that data, really. I mean, we know that if you resolve NASH vicariously, we should have improvement in fibrosis. And we know fibrosis should be linked to an outcome. We have the recent hepatology paper with the Gilead data suggesting if you improve histopathology that you certainly have a much lower odds of progressing to an outcome. But it's a lot weaker for NASH resolution, for sure. So that's a good point, actually. Very good point.
Mazen Noureddin.
Another point I want to also mention is based on what Stephen just said, that he mentioned Donna and her role in patient advocacy and Beyond the Biopsy campaign, which I was privileged that I did part of it on radio with her. So I want to also acknowledge her and many other people that they are part of this as the foundation. So she, Naeem Al-Khoury, they're very important. A lot of people are important. I'll name a few and I hope I will not miss others. But Jorn Schattenberg and Naeem Al-Khoury will be leading the retrospective analyses. Michael Charlton, Vlad Radzu, they kindly agreed to join us in the retrospective as well as the consortium steering committee. We have other people, I'll name them quickly, like Rohit Lomba will play a significant role, Mara Ranella, Scott Friedman, Brent Tetri, Vincent Wong, Quentin Anstey, Juana Braldis, Mina Banzel, and Sophie Janine, who's the CMO of Summit. It's not just these people that you see on the screen. There's an army of people that in this very collaborative effort that is starting around the world.
Thanks, Mazen. And to give the scope of this effort, I think is really helpful. I've got just one recollection that might be flawed. Help me. And then, Louise, I want to get to you. I think I recall, was it Scott Friedman on his earlier episode with us talking about the idea that nobody has ever correlated NIS with outcomes, period? The way you got to the item of the NAS score was that they were things that people could agree on subjectively, but no one ever correlated it?
I don't know if you can say nobody correlated it. It's probably did not come out in univariate and multivariate analyses overall, and what's coming out usually is fibrosis and meta-analyses as well as other analyses. And the recent New England Journal data, it's showing clearly that the F3 and F4 people are in trouble, but many of us think also the F2s you need to start on them early, so you don't prepare for your exam too late in the last 2 minutes before getting into your exam. So I think it's in general the NAS score is not coming out. Saying that, it was left as a main player because it's disease engine and the driver that, as Stephen said, it does lead to the fibrosis, and there's indirect data linking NASH resolution to improvement of fibrosis, and we know that happens. For instance, the JAMA Open Network paper from the NASH CRN, first author is David Kleiner. There's also another paper about Elizabeth Brunt showing NASH resolution, even improvement in NAS by 2 points actually. It's not as much as NASH resolution expectedly. Both of them eventually lead to fibrosis improvement. No one has done that because I think it did not come out.
And but the point is, with those, and elafibranor, by the way, showed the same thing. That data wasn't published, but the data from the phase 2b trial showed an improvement in the NAFLD activity score correlated strongly with improvement in fibrosis. And I've used this in illustrations and lectures before. I think what we're doing is we're trying, from a histopathologic perspective, it's like we're in the middle of the night, we're up against the bark of a tree trunk, and we're trying to feel the trunk in the middle of the night and determine what kind of tree it is and where it's located. Instead, we should zoom out to 30,000 feet and look to see that it's actually a forest with lots of different trees making up the forest. They don't all look the same, but they all make up the forest. And really what we want to know is are our patients at risk or are they not? And can we impact them with therapy? And you can't do that by just getting way down in the weeds. You have to step back and look holistically. And I think that's what some of our blood-based markers and some of our imaging-based markers, and clearly when you put some of those two together, allows us to take a much broader look at what's really happening to the patient. Because remember, while we're liver doctors and we're focused on liver disease as corporations, at least turns. I know Novo has a bigger metabolic engine to it. At the end of the day, fatty liver disease, it's part of a metabolic dysregulation, part of energy overload. And where that energy gets stored preferentially is in the liver. And in that setting, in the right patient, these free fatty acids are very toxic and they lead to lipotoxicity and drive this inflammation, which drives fibrosis, which ultimately can, in the right patient, lead to cirrhosis and decompensating events and liver cancer even. So, stepping back and saying our therapies don't just impact liver disease. I mean, we want to develop the ideal therapy for NASH, and that's, probably combination therapy that gets at a whole lot more than just improving liver disease. That's some of the goals of NAIL-NIT. It's, can we develop these non-invasive tools that really advance the field and allow us to get the right drugs for the right patient at the right time into their hands so that we can leave a big fat dent on the planet in the name of fatty liver.
And let me also take the advantage of this and maybe invite the agnostic companies that did not get the chance to get in other consortium or started after to reach out to us and see if they want to be part of this and validate their biomarkers. I mean, we have a lot that will be included. We're going to have imaging, MRI-based, PDFF, MRE, CT1, transient elastography with the spleen probe, Velocor, and blood-based biomarkers will be huge as well, including ALF-AWL, genetics, proteomics, metabolomics, you name it. And I'm sure I'll miss tons. We do have already a place to store all these samples that in the build right now in the Houston Research Institute that I will be sitting in all day and looking at the samples one by one, going to the freezers and make sure they're maintained in the right temperature. That's my new job. So I invite anyone who wants to contribute to this. It's very exciting. It's what keeps us going every day is like, oh, we're going to help the patients and not stick them with a needle and tell them, sorry, you don't have a balloon cell, but also advance the field. And I'm personally really grateful to all the friends that jumped in a second when we reached out to them from different consortiums. They're like, we're with you, we'll help you. So it can't get better.
Louise, who's been patiently sitting, cogitating, and I know a lot of this is in wheelhouses that you care about. So I'm going to go on mute and let you ask questions and do what you will for the next couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Louise Campbell.
It's just fascinating listening to it. It shows where we're moving to. Whether the rest of medicine will follow us in that line, the more we get NITs, is to be seen, particularly post-pandemic. But I was very interested in Amy and the complete holistic valuing the patient and everything they provide. And obviously, I think that's vital that we utilise all of their samples, particularly the biopsy sample, as well as we can. And we've done that before. But Stephen touched on patient-reported outcomes. That it would be exciting for me to see what the patient-reported outcomes are, whether or not we're going to be assessing them for which NIT motivates them more than others. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions when we take non-invasive technologies to bodies like NICE or different areas that say, oh, well, there's no information on behavioural change. Well, how can you prove it? If you've got all of these NITs together, are you looking to answer the questions that are posed regularly as the weaknesses of NITs in the data that you're collecting? Or is it purely the NIT measures themselves that you'll be reviewing?
I guess you're alluding which NIT is going to be probably the most helpful, and I guess we'll make it to the front line. I think, if I'm correct, getting part of your statements. To me, the field is, if you look at the therapeutics or the diagnostics, there should be a complete collaboration and coordination between the drug or the test, this is the only difference from type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes with the drugs is going to be the same story with NASH. We started with metformin, we added others, the PPRs, whatever, thiazides, well, not thiazide, PPRs, whatever, you name it. And then now we see combination of drugs, especially on those that are hard to control. And usually patients have multiple drugs. In contrast to type 2 diabetes, you can argue, if A1C is the test to go for in type 2 diabetes. Of course, there's others that they use in a more sophisticated way, but you can get away with A1C in the type 2 diabetes field. I don't think that will happen in the NASH field. So whoever is developing a test is like, my test is the test that's going to be used. I'm going to keep, trying to do it on my own. I don't think that should be the case. I think people should collaborate to see the combination of tests that will lead to improvement. Well, one, to stage the disease, two, to assess longitudinal changes in response to treatment, and three, to correlate with outcomes. I think with the combo, you can have a combo that can hit all three of them at the same time, and we will get to use it. But this is a disease that is complicated. It has multi-pathways, including, you can argue each pathway by itself, like steatosis, inflammation, it's on its own, fibrosis, and this is in a simple way. Each one of them has multiple interplays. So I think the NITs will be marrying each other here, and a final simplified score that hopefully will be used across the different context of use, because the context of use is it's a different talk by itself, but hopefully we'll try to find something that will hit multiple contexts of use in this field.
And now, back to Roger.
We hope you've enjoyed this recording. If you have any questions or comments about the content of this conversation or the entire episode, please send an email to questions@surfingnash.com. We'll be back next week with an episode honoring Black History Month, looking at how the interplay of genomics and social determinants of health shape the challenges inherent in treating NAFLD and NASH among non-Hispanic Blacks in the U.S. and presumably wherever else non-Hispanic Blacks live. Until then, stay safe, surf on, and we'll see you next week on Surfing the Nash Tsunami Podcast. Bye-bye now.